Have you ever had a handshake or a hug or a high five just go terribly wrong? You know, one person goes one direction, the other person grabs here. It just doesn't come together right. Imagine that and multiply it by 5 times over. And that's what happened to Trump when he was going for this kind of a hug salutation. You take a look at it, let me know what you'd call it in the comments. But it's a guy named Kevin Cramer of North Dakota. He's a U.S. representative. And it's a little rally. I think he's running for senator. And so Trump tries to hype him up a little bit. And he comes up and he talks. And at the end, when Trump is going to go take the mic back, everything just goes terribly wrong. So the reason I want to break this down is to show you how Trump handled it. And I'll talk to you about what I think was good and what could be improved with that. But more importantly, for you to understand a strategy. So if this happens to you, usually if you're on the basketball court or with a buddy, it doesn't really matter. But what if you are in a high pressure or a high stakes situation like this, and you're in a group of people? I want you to have a plan of how to handle it so you can look good coming out of it. So let's watch this and then we'll break it down.
100% of the time. Thank you. God bless you. Welcome to North Dakota.
All right, so let's break this down. Trump puts out his hand, his arms, like he's going for a hug here, right here. And so the other guy, what's his name, Kramer, looks at him, walks in, and then he starts swooping his arms out for a big hug, and Trump catches him midway and ends up grabbing under his arm, which kind of paralyzes the movement of this guy's arm. So he's kind of stuck with Tyrannosaurus Rex arms and can't do anything. So all he can do is grab Trump's elbow while Trump holds him like he's going into a jiu-jitsu competition here. Then Trump gets kind of the understanding this is going terribly wrong. And I think what he's thinking here is, what can I do to try to mitigate this, to try to make it not look as big of a deal as it is? Because if he just broke right now, when I say break, I mean step back, it would have broke the engagement. It would have looked like, oh, it got really messed up and he was nervous and he backed up. But instead, Trump goes to the top position and just kind of shakes him and pulls him in, pats him. It's still awkward. Look how little of space he has for this. But at least it shows that he wasn't like super weirded out and was just kind of bailing out of the situation, like running away from a laughing crowd. So I think that in general was a good idea. I think the bad idea was at the beginning, putting his arms out like he wanted a hug like that. And then when he comes over, coming back down. I think that was confusing for this Kevin guy, and the poor dude got his arm. It put basically a submission hold. Looks like Trump was setting up a front choke or something like that. So let's watch and see what Trump does after that. Let's back up a little bit here. So not a big deal, right? That's one of the things that Trump does well, very consistently, is he keeps his cool. He does. He's very unflappable. And even in a situation like this, where I think that he made the mistake right at the beginning, he handled it well. It went from one of the most awkward hugs ever to the second most awkward hug ever. But it doesn't look like look now. It doesn't look like he's freaking out or he's trying to bail out of it, right? He's keeping his cool. He's not being, as I always talk about, emotionally reactive, which is very important. And then he goes straight on to talking like it was no big deal. And the funny thing is, the beginning interaction where they first shook hands at the beginning of this, I'll show you, was a little bit awkward. You see right here, the arm on the top? It wasn't nearly as weird, but they've just had a tough time from the very beginning. You know, not many of us are going to be in front of a crowd or a national televised audience, but a lot of people feel very awkward and uncomfortable just in normal places, you know, after work, at the networking hour, or even at work or in public. If you ever feel this way or feel like you just want to level up your social skills so you can completely understand what's going on around you in public and know that when you go up to talk to people, you can always get a good reaction, I'd encourage you to check out my Social Invincibility program. You can go to socialinvincibility.com and go there, and it's going to be able to get you leveled up in all areas of this. Do you have a question for me? If you do, go ahead and type it on my Instagram underneath the most recent post, And then check out my podcast. It's called The Charisma Matrix Social Secrets. And I'm going to answer a couple of these questions every single week. You can get on iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere else. I'm going to go through and answer these. It's a great place to get that done. Now, if you haven't seen this video of Donald Trump whipping Emmanuel Macron through the streets of Paris, I suggest you do it. It's pretty funny. His wife is just hanging in the wings. She can't do anything about it as he's getting whipped around. I've never seen anything like it. You can click there and I'll talk to you there. He grabs his wife's hand while he's still holding his hand. He's got a double. Macron's like, what's going on? He's grabbing his arm.